Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our Tuesday evening meeting of the Fairfield Golden Speakers Toastmasters Club. My name is Rick Starr, and it's my pleasure to introduce the president of our club, Mr. Lewis Dembaum.
Thank you, Mr. Sergeant at Arms. Welcome, everyone, to our weekly meeting of Golden Speakers Toastmasters. We meet every Tuesday at 7:45 in the club room at Hy-Vee, right near aisle 13, the ice cream aisle, everyone's favorite. First order of business is we all carry these funny things around called cell phones. Please disable it for tonight's meeting so none of our speakers are disturbed by the buzzing or ringing of your cell phone. I would like to read the mission of our club. The mission of a Toastmaster club is to provide a mutually supportive and positive learning environment in which every member has the opportunity to develop communication and leadership skills, which in turn fosters self-confidence and personal growth. And we have one guest, John Miller. What brings you to Toastmasters tonight, John?
Well, I've heard a lot about it, and this club in particular. And I've visited it in the past, and have even been a member of it in the past. So I thought, why not come back and see if I should rejoin?
All right.
Because it was such a good experience before. Maybe I'll have another good experience.
I think you will.
Yes, all right.
So we look forward to you rejoining if that happens. Okay. I do want to say that I did participate in the district international speech competition this Saturday. I did not bring home the trophy, but I had a fantastic experience. And I want to say the person who won, Corey May, is absolutely phenomenal. And I think we've got a shot as District 19 of bringing home the trophy from Las Vegas in August.
Wow.
I would like to extend to Corey an opportunity to come down here, be a guest speaker, and give his speech. And then we could give him feedback and evaluation. So, all in favor of that?
Oh.
All right, great. This, by the way, was the 7th time. He won table topics and the international speech competition. It was his 6th and 7th time winning a district. So it'll be a real treat to have him. So, do we have our Toastmaster here tonight? Do you know your Toastmaster tonight?
Yeah, but this is my first time doing it, so I'm really not that familiar with it.
Okay.
So I'll just do what I can, and I hope there's a script for me to read out from.
There is a script.
All right.
There is a script. Come on up, Mr. Toastmaster. DJ.
So I'll just. Okay, so I'm going to introduce the role players. President, Lewis Dembaum. I'm the Toastmaster for tonight. The timer is Nirja Maheswari. So that's...
So I will watch time for everybody. Favorite topic are 1 to 2 minutes speeches. Green light for 1 minute, yellow light for 1 minute 30 seconds, red light 2 minutes. Today's speeches are usually 5 to 7 minutes. Green light turn on at 5 minutes, yellow light is turned on at 6 minutes, and red light turn on at 7 minutes. Evaluation are 3 minutes, green light is turned on 2 minutes, yellow light on at 2 minutes 30 seconds, red light is turned on at 3 minutes. I'll give report on.
Okay, thank you, Nirja. And for the grammarian, we have Nelson Figueroa.
Actually, we have John Miller taking over.
So John Miller's taking over.
Oh, so I am going to be listening for the word.
Stand up.
Stand up.
Pardon me. I'm going to be listening for the word.
Pardon me.
While I do some housekeeping. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and visitors. The word for tonight is commencement. It's a noun, and it means a ceremony of conferring a degree, which happens, of course, this Saturday at the university. And it means the beginning or start or inception of something. So please use that extensively. I will also be listening to speakers and evaluators and so forth for exceptionally good or bad uses of language, and I will give a report at the end. Thank you.
And for the art counter, we have Will Burns, who's also the cameraman for us tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. My job tonight is to, if not dispel the dreaded filler words, to record them. Those filler words are things like like, you know, so, but, and, conflicts, repeats, and false starts. Now, you are allowed to use these words properly. It's when you use them as a filler word that I will record your mistake or your opportunity for improvement. And with that, I'll turn it back over to our Toastmaster.
For the ballot and leader counter, we have Wahid, who is not here tonight, but I'm sure Luis is going to take over. We also have a joke master for tonight, who is Samantha. Okay, so we're going to carry on with the prepared speech for tonight, and we'll have Art Atkinson to read some of the objectives.
Good evening, Toastmasters. My job as evaluator tonight is to introduce our next speaker, Rick Starr, and his project, to give you some idea of what he's up to, and then to provide an evaluation at the conclusion of our meeting. Rick has been a member of this speaker, of this Toastmasters Club since 2013, and is also a charter member of the Cambridge Techmasters Toastmasters Club, a corporate club at Cambridge Investment Research, where he works during the day as what he calls a computer guy. He's in the information systems department, and from what I understand, a great many of the members of that club are in that department, or perhaps all.
All of them.
All. He's been an officer in this club. He's currently an officer. He's been an officer in that club. He's earned the Advanced Speaker Silver and Advanced Leader Bronze Educational Awards from Toastmasters. His speech tonight is Project 2, known as Speaking in Praise, from this advanced manual, Special Occasion Speeches. His title tonight is In Praise of Groucho, celebrating Groucho's commencement on this planet. The objectives of this Speaking in Praise project are to praise and honor Groucho. It could be someone alive or someone dead. You could do the project for either. He's choosing someone who may still be alive. He's to address 5 areas or aspects of Groucho's life and accomplishments, and use anecdotes to illustrate these points. This is a 5 to 7 minute speech. Please warmly welcome with me Rick Starr for In Praise of Groucho.
Thank you, Art. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, honored guest, and viewers at home. On the 125th anniversary of his birth, I'm going to give a speech in praise of Groucho. In the manual, the guidelines are to give a speech in praise of a friend or coworker or family member. But Groucho broke a lot of boundaries. I'm going to break some boundaries too and give this speech in praise of Groucho. One of the objectives of the speech, as Art said, is to give 5 noteworthy examples in his life. So here are 5 things that make Groucho praiseworthy. Number 1, he was funny. He looked funny. He wore glasses, he had a big cigar, he had a huge grease paint mustache and eyebrows. He walked funny. He talked funny. He said funny things. He said he was hunting in Africa, and in the morning he shot an elephant in his pajamas. How he got in my pajamas, he'll never know. Talking about his success, he said, a year ago, I didn't have a nickel in my pocket. Now I have a nickel. When checking a man's pulse, he said, either this man is dead or my watch has stopped. Another reason that Groucho is praiseworthy is that his whole family was funny. He came from a family of entertainers and musicians, show business people. He commenced his career in vaudeville. Vaudeville was a type of entertainment before movies, and his 5 brothers, the Marx Brothers, were in an act. They started out as a musical act, and they started making wisecracks, and they found that the wisecracks got a better response to them than the music. Who could name some of the Marx Brothers besides Groucho? Anybody know?
Harpo.
Harpo. Who else? Chico. Anyone else? It was Zeppo. There's one more called Zeppo, and Zeppo was in a few of their movies, and it's a straight man. And there was another brother named Gummo, who was in their vaudeville act, but not in their movies. Harpo, as you know, wore a wig, a blonde wig, and in all the movies he never spoke. And Harpo played the harp, naturally. Chico had an Italian accent, which was kind of a stereotype, but he was still hilarious. He played the piano. In fact, Chico and Harpo were two excellent musicians. The third thing, why Groucho is praiseworthy, his career was kind of a history of show business in America. As I said, he started his career in vaudeville. What vaudeville was, it was entertainment before movies, and it was acts, live acts, singing acts, dancing acts, comedy acts, juggling, you name it. Every town had a vaudeville theater. Every large cities had many vaudeville theaters. After vaudeville, the brothers went on Broadway, where they did musical comedies. In fact, several of their musical comedies were made into movies. The Coconuts was one. Animal Crackers was another. Then they started making movies, and they made a series of, in my humble opinion, just hilarious movies. A Night at the Opera, Day at the Races, The Coconuts, Animal Crackers. Animal Crackers, for some reason, had got into this copyright litigation, and it wasn't seen for a long time. And it was released again in the mid-'70s, and I saw it. And it was, at that point, a 40-year-old movie, and the audiences in the theater were just roaring with laughter. It was so funny. After movies, Groucho went on to do radio shows, a quiz show on the radio called You Bet Your Life. And he also did it on television, the same quiz show, You Bet Your Life, and it ran for 11 years. Groucho also wrote several autobiographies, which are just hilarious. So we can see Groucho's career spanned a century. He started his show business career just after the turn of the 20th century. He went to vaudeville, movies, radio, and television. Another reason that Groucho is praiseworthy is that he was a cultured man. He was an educated man. He never even finished grammar school, but he was self-taught. He was well-read. This is a couple of famous quotes about education. One said, TV is very educational. Every time someone turns on the TV, I go into the other room and read a good book. Another quote he said to a very famous author, your book was hilarious. From the time I picked it up until I put it down, I couldn't stop laughing. One day I intend to read it. My favorite quote about education, he said, outside of a dog, a book is a man's best friend. Inside of a dog, it's too dark to read. Another thing about Groucho is he has very high standards. He belonged to a club in Los Angeles called the Friars Club, which was a very famous exclusive club for show business people. They were kind of well known for doing roasts of celebrities. And he wrote to the club and he said, I'm resigning from your club. I don't want to be part of I don't want to be a member of a club that would have someone like me as a member. One time Groucho gave an impassioned speech about something he strongly believed in. And he finished it up and he said, these are my principles. And if you don't like them, well, I have others. So every Toastmaster speech should end with a call for action. So the call for action is, if you like Groucho, go out and rent your favorite Marx Brothers movie and watch it again. If you don't like Groucho, get a movie anyway. You might like it this time.
All right, thank you, Rick. That was really great. So now we'll take 2 minutes to evaluate the speakers. We'll have Dan Craig to come up here to read the objectives.
Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests. Tonight we're going to hear Sandy Maygram give her project number 4. No, project number 3. Get to the point. She was panicking there for a minute. I'm going to read the objectives in the manual. They are, select a speech topic and determine its general and specific purpose. Organize the speech in a manner that best achieves these purposes. Ensure the beginning, body, and conclusion reinforce the purposes. Project sincerity and conviction, and control any nervousness you may feel. Sandy, originally from Silicon Valley in California, has lived in Fairfield for 31 years. She has raised 3 wonderful children and 1 wonderful husband who still won't leave home. Sandy joined Toastmasters almost a year ago to overcome the fear of speaking in front of people. This is her 3rd speech, and its purpose is to entertain and uplift the audience. Her title is Our Wonderful World. Please welcome Sandy Maygram.
Hi, my name is Sandy Tadlock and I'm 5 years old. I live with my mommy and daddy and my new baby brother Georgie in a brand new house. Our house has a big backyard with tall grass and toads. I love toads. And it's got flowers that mommy and I planted, and it's got lots of bugs. Do you like bugs?
No.
No? I like bugs. Some of my favorites are butterflies. There are so many and they're so beautiful. And I love dragonflies, the little ones and the big ones. They sparkle in the sun like magic. And I love ladybugs, the red ones with the black spots. And I love caterpillars, the soft, furry brown ones. When they crawl up my arm, they tickle. But the bestest bug of all lives in Ray and Elgin's yard. And it is this green worm with black spots. And it is so soft to touch. And when you touch it for the first time, these orange horns pop out of its head, and they smell so bad. Mommy says it's to keep all of the other bugs that would eat it away. Last summer, we went on a long trip. I went with Granny Hogan and Uncle Byron and my mommy and my brother Georgie. And it was so hot. Uncle Byron pulled the car over to the side of the road and we all got out. And all the other people were out too. So Uncle Byron picked me up and put me on the hood of the car so I could see. And do you know what I saw? I saw that the road was covered in millions and millions of the soft, furry, brown caterpillars that I love. We don't know where they were going, and we waited a really long time for them to get off the road. But they didn't, and so we had to drive over and squish some of them. And it made me like really sad. Caterpillars. Oh, caterpillars and the lilac tree. When it would get cold, the lilac tree, these caterpillars would come. They were the dark, spiky, pointy ones, not my favorite. They would crawl up the trunk of the tree. They would go out on all the branches, and they would become cocoons. Then when it started to get warm and all the flowers started to grow, Mommy would come and get me, and we would go outside, and all of the cocoons would start to break open. And these kind of wet, slimy things would come out, and they kind of move, and pretty soon they had wings, and they were all drying their wings. And when they were all dry, you know what happened? They all took off together, and it was so beautiful. Mommy called them monarchs. Hi, my name's Sandy Tadlock, and I'm 12 years old. I'm standing behind the counter of my mom and dad's auto supply store, and I'm looking across the street through the plate glass windows at the Texaco station across the street. Vern works there. Vern is really cute, and he's really nice too, and he's really cute. Oh, look, there he is. Oh. But wait a minute, what's happening? The sky is turning really dark, like really fast. And look, all the people are running in off the street. I have to go see what's happening. Oh my gosh, look at that. There's this huge cloud of something going past the sun, just coming. What's happening? Oh, he says that the queen bee is moving her hives. There must be hundreds of thousands of bees up there. The sky looks like it's about 7 o'clock at night. It is really cool. Hi, my name is Sandy Joyner. My husband Bob and I have just been with Maharishi Mahesh Yogi for a lecture, and we're driving along a narrow road with a little hill on one side and beautiful Lake Lucerne on the other side. The Swiss Alps are up above. There's a full moon, a big full moon, and it's reflecting off the lake. It is so, Bob, stop, stop. What is happening? All the cars have pulled over to the side of the road. What is happening? Wow, they've stopped about 400, 500 yards down the way. We're going to get out and see. Oh my gosh, I can't believe this. There are thousands and thousands of toads covering the road. They're coming down off the hill, they're going down to the lake, and they are crawling down to the water. It is so magnificent. I love toads. I have seen a lot of magical, wonderful things in my life that I am very, very grateful for. When we're young, we see through our eyes of innocence with an innocent, pure heart. We still have that young, innocent, pure of heart child inside. If we just open our hearts wide and look through those same eyes, we can see all of the beauty and all of the small and big wonders, all of the miracles that surround us every single day. Fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, and viewers at home, thank you.
Let's take 2 minutes to evaluate her. So let's invite Prana, if he's done with his evaluation, to read some of the objectives for the next speaker.
All right, so tonight we are going to hear for Raven's second speech, which is titled Hy-Vee. And she's given us one speech, her icebreaker already, and I'm excited to hear her second speech, and I think you would be as well, hopefully, to hear, and it's a Organize Your Speech is her project tonight, and her objectives are to select an appropriate outline which allows listeners to easily follow and understand her speech, make her message clear with supporting material directly contributing to the message, use transitions when moving from one idea to another, and create a strong opening and conclusion. So we've heard Raven speak before, so we know a little bit about her, but just as an introduction, she's from Tennessee, and she just has recently returned from Nashville, where she taught Hy-Vee to the children of Music City who attend the Waldorf School. You're probably familiar with Waldorf. She holds a master's degree in music from the University of Massachusetts and a diploma from the School of Hy-Vee in Spring Valley, New York. And Hy-Vee is her title again for the night, so let's warmly welcome Raven for her speech tonight.
Thank you, Prana. Good evening, Toastmasters. Welcome guests and viewers at home. I'm actually not from Tennessee, but I have just returned from Tennessee, where I was teaching children and adults in the great city of Nashville. My speech is actually titled 3 Things That I Would Like to Tell You About the New Art of Hy-Vee. I'm very happy to be back home in Fairfield. Eurythmy is known in many places in the world. Places where I have been very active are New York City, Boulder, Colorado, Nashville, Tennessee, Minnesota, and I would like to be more active in Fairfield. Eurythmy is a new art that should be known by more people than it is, and I have taken it on as my life work to spread the news about what it is. So tonight I'm going to tell you 3 of the applications of Eurythmy so that you can, on your own, start to put together, well, what is this new art of Eurythmy? It is an art of movement. It has 3 main applications. First and foremost, it's a performing art. If you were to see Eurythmy performed, the movements that you would be seeing are gestures that will make the sounds of speech visible. For instance, that sounds a little unusual, but if you just think of the 2 sounds ah and k, which I'm sure many of you have thought about already, if you were going to make them visible, if I gave you 2 gestures, one which is and one which is, I'm pretty sure you could decide that this would be ah and this would be k. Other sounds, for instance, the sound s is like this, the sound g, b, and so on. You would see eurythmists, the individual eurythmists, doing these gestures. You would also see a lot of choreographed movement. If you were to see it on stage, there's also a lot of use of color and costume. The costumes have these very moving veils so that when a movement is done, besides the body moving, you see this veil that also describes the movement as it goes through the air. So here's just some pictures of different performances of Eurythmy. A drawing of the movements that the eurythmists would be doing together could look something like this. This is an actual Eurythmy form for a piece of music by Mozart. You can see it's very regular, very beautiful, almost like a, I forget the word, mantra kind of looking. Thank you, mandala, a mandala shape. If you were choreographing something to Led Zeppelin, it wouldn't come out like this. It would be much more kind of jagged. So every music has its own lawfulness that is shown by the eurythmic movements. So that is the first aspect of Eurythmy. The next one is more of an educational one, and that follows the development of the child. With kindergartners, I would again use the gestures for sound, but I would put them in a story. For kindergarten, I might tell a story about a mummy bird and a daddy bird loved one another true. Said mummy bird to daddy bird, build me a nest, please do, and so on. When the children do these sounds for these gestures for the sounds of language, it really deepens their experience for language and for listening to sound. Sounds of language become very living for the children that get to have Eurythmy. It's mostly taught in Waldorf schools, though I have been fortunate enough to be able to teach in non-Waldorf schools, because really it belongs anywhere. Any child can benefit from the education of Eurythmy. Moving on to, say, 6th grade, where geometry starts to be taught and some very clear thinking needs to happen. I'm sure you've all heard of multiple intelligences. Eurythmy really helps with spatial thinking. If a student had to draw something, for instance, like this, and not only drew it, but had to stand in a room with their classmates in this shape, and then would have to draw a transformation of that, and then also move it together in time together. You can see what this would do. They all have to think together, and they have to think very precisely and move very precisely in time in certain shapes. So that I actually just taught to the 6th grade down in Nashville. The last aspect of Eurythmy that I want to talk about is a therapeutic one. The sounds of speech you can think of that we are formed out of the same sounds. So if you have any kind of deformity or you have energy that's maybe flowing the wrong way and blocking health, through the sounds of language, healing can happen. Another very simple exercise that people can do for therapeutic for yourself. Say you have a day where you're feeling stressed and maybe frazzled. We work with the copper ball, and we just do this very simple centering exercise where you bring the copper down and then around yourself over and over again, slowly. And after a few moments of doing this, you will feel calm. So I hope that I have given you enough of a little bit of glimpse into some of the things that eurythmy is used for. If you ever hear of a eurythmy class, which sometimes does happen in the town of Fairfield, I encourage you to attend to learn more and try it for yourself. You will feel better by the end of the class. Thank you, Toastmasters.
Okay, let's spend 2 minutes to evaluate Raven. I'd like you to take some time to vote for the best speaker. We have Rick Starr, Sandy, and Raven. They are the 3 main speakers.
Check with the timer and see if they all qualify.
And but before we do that, let me just check with the timer to see if they're all qualified.
Yeah.
All right, so all of them qualify. So please vote for the best speaker for tonight. Thanks. I hope everybody's done voting and evaluating. Right now, it's time for the evaluation section, and I would like to warmly welcome Jean Summerton-Craig to come up.
We had some really engaging, different types of speeches tonight. Really enjoyed all of them. Now we're going to conduct our evaluation section where we can learn collectively, and also the speakers can get ideas from evaluators on where there might be some suggestions for improvement, future outings. Our first evaluator is Art Atkinson, who will be evaluating Rick Starr. Please help me warmly welcome Art.
Good evening, Toastmasters. Well, first of all, let me say, Rick, I really enjoyed this talk. I hope you all enjoyed it as much as I did. Can I see some hands? Did you enjoy the incredibly smooth way in which he just integrated those Groucho one-liners and jokes and pieces in it? That was probably the most skillfully done aspect of this talk. Of course, Rick was comfortable here. He moved about, not particularly purposefully, but he moved. He wasn't pacing. He had great gestures. He had a great smile. He was obviously having fun giving this talk. Those are a few of the things that Rick, as a very skillful speaker, already does well. Going through the points of the manual, how well did the speech suit the occasion? Well, this is the occasion celebrating his birthday. He's now been gone for I don't know how many years, but it was 150 years ago that he was born. He's fundamentally, he's introducing a whole new generation of people to a man that they never heard on radio, or they never saw live on TV. This guy was on TV in the age when TV shows were actually live. He gave us, for that kind of a celebration, what he's doing is he's introducing this new generation and giving his place, his significance in the whole history of U.S. performing arts and theater, a man whose career spanned a century, as he put it. So it was perfectly suited to the occasion. What parts of the speech were most effective? Well, in my opinion, it was just that smooth integration of Groucho's one-liners to actually illustrate the points that he's making. Groucho
one of the most delightful parts of his humor is the fact that it's gentle humor. It's laugh with humor. It's not laugh at humor. If he wants to make the point about how important education is, he uses this one-liner about it's too dark inside the dog to read the book. It's a Paris-Brastokian. You know, you think that it's going this direction and then the sentence veers off into this other direction. How effectively did he identify and illustrate Groucho's qualities and accomplishments? Well, he did an excellent job of describing his place in U.S. performing arts history and the sheer breadth of a career that spans vaudeville through live TV. How did he use Groucho's qualities and accomplishments to inspire us? Well, just that sheer range of accomplishments. What could you have done differently to improve this talk? I would love to have seen just a still picture of Groucho. That by itself would have been a nice little touch. And also to refer to what other entertainers who've appreciated Groucho or learned from Groucho have said about his influence on their work. Those would have been some nice additional touches. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Art. Our next evaluator, one of my favorite evaluators. Love this man. Can't say enough about his qualities. Oh, there he is, ready to go. Is Dan Craig, who will be evaluating Sandy Magrum.
Madam General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, our guests, viewers at home. We had a very entertaining speech given by Sandy. From the very beginning, she was in character. Hi, I'm Sandy, I can't remember the last name, but she was 5 years old, and she was very effectively immersed in that character. It was quite an effective speech in terms of the storytelling. Very well done. I'm going to go through the manual regarding the objectives of the project. The first thing I'd ask is, was the general purpose of the speech clear? I think it was clear that she was trying to inspire us to, and the specific purpose was to inspire us to become more aware of the wonders of the natural world. The next several questions are about how the speech organization, the main points and supporting material, and the beginning, body, and conclusion reinforce this specific purpose. Those, I think, could have been a bit stronger just in terms of the speech. The storytelling itself was just flawless, just wonderful. But in terms of the organization that the project was recommending that we do, I think the way that perhaps you could have bent towards those objectives would have been to go in and out of character. It was very, very effective that you were in character. If we wanted to put in an introduction, then just a few sentences. I've had several times during my life where I've been amazed by what I've seen in that natural world. And then, hi, I'm Sandy, I'm 5 years old. And in the same way for main points, I think it would be okay to say, there was one point in my life where I was really inspired in such and such way. Then, hi, I'm Sandy. And then, just like that, to go in and out of character. It wouldn't have been as effective as what you did in terms of storytelling But if we're trying to bend into the project, I think going in and out would have been the most effective way. That's really my only suggestion for you. I very much appreciated everything that you did. It asked if you achieved this specific purpose. I'd say yes, your stories inspired us to think about all those wonderful things that are out there in the world. You've appeared confident. I think it takes a lot of confidence to tell the story in the way that you did. And you also didn't rely on notes. Very nice job. Look forward to more in the future.
Thank you, Mr. Craig. Our third evaluator is Ryan Miller, and he will be evaluating Raven's speech. Thank you very much.
Yes. Thank you. So, Hy-Vee, we heard about it 3 weeks ago, and I was curious. I think the translation was lost many years ago. I don't know where it went, but I learned what it was tonight. So this is a really good speech. I liked how you gave us kind of a story of your life about where you taught it and how where you taught in the Waldorf schools. I think it was very clear and organized. You, as the manual asks for, it's you had good transitions in between each. You had 3 main points, I think, and you used a lot of gestures. Obviously, that's inherent in the speech. So you're going to have, or inherent in the topic. It's all about gestures, it sounds like. So you're going to have a lot of gestures in your speech, and you had some, props to help describe what it is, and so you obviously knew a lot about the topic, and I think that was great to see your confidence in that, and I just appreciated hearing the speech, what it is, and I would say one thing to maybe put more focus on is what I, in my opinion, is to describe the history of it more, just so we know where it was started. You might have mentioned that, but where it started, and in terms of the speech value, it was useful, I think, to us all tonight, and especially those interested in music and anyone who has kids, because it can be something that you could incorporate into your parenting. So yeah, that's in terms of the body flowed smoothly, and you had a lot of good transitions, like I said. And let's see, I guess, yeah, I thought it was you told a good story and just very passionate about your speech, and so looking forward to hearing your next speech. And yeah, that's my evaluation for you tonight.
At this point, we're going to still have one more evaluator, our table topics evaluator, and in order for her to have something to evaluate, we need to have table topics itself. And our table topics master is none other than world traveler extraordinaire, Annalisa Fredrickson.
We're going to shake things up a little bit. Time to think on your toes. I think that's the expression. So this is how table topics works. I have 5 questions related to graduation. I'm going to have a volunteer come up here. I'm going to read a question. You have 30 seconds to think and take your time. Then you have 2 minutes to do it. The light will turn on at 1 minute, it'll be green, and then when it's red at 2 minutes, you have 30 seconds to wrap it up. I think we can commence this game. Who wants to go first? It's someone who doesn't have a role, or I'm gonna have to pick someone. Okay. One through 5.
You pick.
Okay. If you could go back to school for free and get another degree, what would you get and why?
If I had the opportunity to go back to school for free, I would do things a little bit differently. I wouldn't pursue my bachelor's with a reckless abandonment, that abandon to complete my degree and get out and work. When I was in school, I was very task-oriented. I want to do this so I can go out and do this. If I could go back, I would pursue a broad liberal arts education, the traditional classic sense. I would study literature. I would study philosophy. I would study writing. I would study how to debate. And I'd probably learn one of the so-called dead languages, Latin, Greek, or even something else. I would love to learn Farsi. I would love to learn Mandarin. The chance to read, or Sanskrit, the chance to learn to read texts in their own language, the language they were written for, to breathe in, to express them. And that ties into the debating, being able to present ideas in a natural, comfortable way. And the philosophy, being able to think about ideas in a natural way. So for me, I think it doesn't get me from point A to point B. It just allows me to enjoy the journey and to be a more complete person. And that's what I would do if I could go back to school.
I feel like everyone has a role tonight, so yeah, anyone who wants to go, raise your hand. Okay, it's your first. One. What advice would you give someone who is graduating from high school?
From high school.
Yeah, from high school. They're graduating right now.
Fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, and viewers at home, good evening. If I would have given an advice for the person who is about to graduate from school, with their age are ranging from 17, 16 to around 19 or 20. So this is the age of confusion, because you are going to develop from a teenage person, from an irresponsible person, kind of, to someone who is going to take responsibility. So the next stage of your life is going to be difficult, because you are going to run into many questions. You are going to ask yourself, what do you want to do in your life? If you are fortunate enough, which if you are like that many 1% people that understand who they are, what they want to do in their life, so you're lucky. If you're like me, 99% other people, who are confused most of their life. So that's very, very weird, because you have to struggle and you have to think about what you want in your life for long, long years. And perhaps the people who are in school, if you ask them, most of them will say, I don't know, I am just here and I'm just studying and I'm just going to do. By the age of 25 or 28, most people understand what they want out of their life or what path they are going to take. So at this stage, take it a little lightly. If you are going to go back to school like Will, who is going to get it for free, congratulations, by the way. So take it lighter, go there, and do not stress out a lot, because whatever opportunity you have is at that moment, study the things or the subjects that you have and study it well, because no matter what, that subject which you have by choice or without choice you have selected, that is going to help you someday in future. And in future you are going to have fun with that, even if you doesn't like it. So study it well. Thank you.
You want to go?
Sure.
3, 4, or 5?
3.
3. What is a characteristic of a professor that you admired?
Fellow Toastmasters and viewers at home. Thank you, Annalisa. Interesting subject. What comes to mind for me first is we didn't call them professors, we called them instructors at the Air Force Academy. I had one instructor there, Major Torrey, I believe his name was, who in my 4 years there was the only instructor who referred to us cadets as sir, which really touched me deeply. It's an environment that you might understand like West Point, Annapolis, and so forth, where there is a lot of harassment, a lot of being called to task and push-ups and inspections and everything else, a lot of humiliating experiences and so forth. It's not a typical kind of a college atmosphere. Let's have some fun and whoop it up and have parties on weekends, so forth. I believe I was even a dually. A dually is the freshman year, the first year. Dually being that insignificant whose rank is measured in negative units. I was a dually, and to have this officer refer to me, he would say, yes, sir, and if we answered a question or something like that. Just so touching. It affected, I think, my entire Air Force career and my life after.
Oh, so I did that. Okay. Did everyone qualify? We're going to vote. Can you say the 3 names?
For tabletop?
Yes.
Only 2 people qualified, Dan and Brian. So everybody qualified.
Okay, and their names were?
Will, Wahid, John May.
So if everyone can vote. I'm now going to call up Samantha Young. She's going to be our table topics evaluator for the evening.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, and viewers at home. My name is Samantha Young, and I'll be evaluating our table topics section. And let's allow this evaluation to commence now. The participants, we'll start with Will. Your question was, if you wanted to go back and get another degree, what would you get and why? You took your 30 seconds, and I noticed a great use of big gestures, using your arms and opening up much wider than feels safe. So great use of big gestures, and the way you went through your table topics, I feel like ignited the love for the leisure of liberal arts and studying. The only thing that I may have caught was, I'm not too sure if you greeted us, so just greet us, but otherwise it's very enthusiastic. Wahid, your question was advice to a high school grad, and you took your time, you greeted us, and then you set the stage to give us a direct answer, which was a timeline of what they're about to go through. The age of confusion was a great description. And then going through, don't stress too much because you're not going to know, you're probably not going to know, and you're probably not going to continue to know. And I liked how you ended with some great advice, just study well, don't stress too much. And I also noticed when you get excited, you project your voice very far out so we can hear you really well. I thought that was great. And my only suggestion is keep going up. And John, we finished with John. Your question was an admirable characteristic of a professor. You jumped right into it, and you talked about your instructor in the Air Force. You explained why the impact of him calling everybody sir within that environment was so impactful. So great way to explain why something so simple could have such a profound effect. And the only thing that I could suggest is perhaps an example of the professor, or you asking your professor something and him saying yes sir. I think you mentioned yes sir, but if you paused, because I noticed your eye contact and your use of pauses was very intentional and powerful. So if you wanted to give us an example, but otherwise great hearing you talk. Thank you.
Now we have all the evaluators. Madam Timer, did our evaluators qualify? Which evaluators qualified?
Dan, Brad, and Ryan.
Diane Ruttman. Nope.
Were they not long enough? Oh, yeah,
Okay, so we have Dan, we have Ryan, we had Samantha.
I think I must have been over.
Did you?
Yeah,
Did you again?
thought you were over by 5 seconds.
We're going to go ahead and keep rolling here. We're going to commence with the reports for our meeting tonight. Our first report will be from our timer. Nirja, if you would please stand and just read the names and the times. Thank you.
Bill, 1 minute 42 seconds. Wahid, 2 minutes 14. John Miller, 1 minute 42 seconds. Rick Starr, 7 minutes 13 seconds. Sandy Lee, 7 minutes 19 seconds. Raven Murray, 6 minutes 30 seconds. Samantha, 2 minutes 20 seconds. Art Atkinson, 3 minutes 35 seconds. Dan Pratt, 3 minutes 14 seconds. Ryan Rana, 2 minutes 26 seconds.
Next, we will hear from our grammarian, who is Mr. John Miller.
Thank you, Jean, fellow Toastmasters and viewers at home. Once again, I find that it is difficult to be critical, either because of my poor attention to your speeches or because of your excellence in delivering them. I suspect it must be the latter. Nirja, you had one verb-subject disagreement on tense, and I think there were two, but I caught one, which was evaluation is, I believe you maybe said evaluation are. So just a tiny verb-subject issue there. Art managed to commence in some regard. I'm not sure exactly how the context was, but Rick Starr commenced, Gene commenced. I'm sorry if I missed someone else's commencement, but I caught those three. You also had an interesting expression, art, which I didn't quite catch. I think it was a foreign language. You said it's a Paris something?
Paraprosdokia.
What is that?
You have to have attended a hip speech, you know.
Okay. Is that a foreign language?
It's the name of a particular kind of humor.
Oh, okay. So that was, I thought,
They put me over time.
it was interesting. It might put me over time here too.
I wouldn't have been over time.
Well, it was a class act anyway. Rick Starr, commencement, he squeezed that in. And just all the figures of speech that you quoted from Groucho Marx were just so priceless, so tasty. Outside of the dog, inside of the dog, and so forth. His career spanning the history of show business throughout the United States. Sandy, your bestest bug was such a cutie. Raven, the word eurythmy I found intriguing. No idea how you spell it, but that doesn't matter. Gene, the gestures that you use to express the words that Raven was gesturing. I don't know how to express it, but it was such a visual appreciation of what Raven was doing that I am commenting on here. Annalisa caught a commencement. Well, it kind of was intriguing to me that you wanted to learn Farsi. Heard of it before, but have no idea anything about that. Once it makes me want to look it up and do a Google search for the word. And I think that's all. Samantha, you also commenced something or other. So 4 or 5 people used commencement. Very good.
And our counter, who is Mr. Will Burns.
Thank you. I caught 1 repeat for art, 6 ums, 6 uhs, 1 so, and 4 ands for prana, 1 so for myself, 1 so for Wahid, 1 or for Samantha, and 1 extemporaneous and for Samantha. And that was my report.
I don't know that we have a joke master tonight. We do have a joke master.
Yes.
All right. Joke master Samantha Young.
It was graduation day, and a mother wanted to get a photo of her son in his cap and gown with the father. So she said, pose, make it look natural, maybe put your arm around your dad, son. And then the dad replied, if you want it to look natural, why don't you have him put his hand in my pocket?
It's time for the general evaluator's report. That would be me. I'm going to run through the evaluations of the evaluators and give some ideas. Art evaluated Rick. He used the manual. Of course, that's our standard because that's where the objectives are for what the speech is trying to accomplish. He gave very positive feedbacks about Rick, positive comments, and he also was specific with one-liners, and that's something that we always want to do in evaluations, is be specific so that we show that we actually did listen carefully. He suggested a couple of recommendations. which I thought were pretty good. Other people that were possibly influenced, a couple of comments, Peter comments on Groucho Marx, and then also a picture. I have to say Groucho Marx looks exactly like a former fiance of mine. Seriously, all he had to do was put on the bow tie at Halloween and he was Groucho Marx. Unbelievable. Did not go to husband level, but it was that. He had class, but that's Jeffrey, for those of you that heard those stories. All right, stop. Suggestion, which is just what I did. So if you only have 2 to 3 minutes to evaluate, you really want to focus on your speaker. So don't get bogged down embellishing with new content. An example would be, Art is very well read, has a lot of ideas, but he starts talking about how Groucho Marx's humor was. It was gentle, it was a laugh with kind of humor, and that's all helpful in understanding, but it's not about what Rick did. So we want to keep it focused on Rick and what specifically did Rick do or not do that would be helpful for Rick. Secondly, Dan did Sandy. He also used the manual. He talked about very positive. All of our evaluators are very positive, and that makes our speakers feel good. Stories are very inspiring. And he gave examples of how to fix or possibly to make the changes that he was suggesting. For example, he gave the idea of going in and out of character to better meet the objectives of that particular speech. And as an evaluator, you can sometimes be in a position of saying, oh, that was such a great speech. I don't know if it was the best topic for the speech objectives. Yeah, so you have to kind of communicate that in a gentle, caring way and make suggestions. As he said, try to, if you want to lean more towards those objectives, then these are some ideas. So that's another great thing that he did. Oh. He, the suggestion for Dan is tonight, before going to bed, in front of the mirror, practice saying specific. Quickly, fast. Specific. Okay, Ryan Prana. Raven. He also used the manual. Great, positive comments on her props, her level of confidence, and he commented on the level of the organization, which was what this project was really about, a key element. He gave a suggestion about possibly describing some history of where eurythmia came from. Now, this is a very subtle point, I just want to make it. So I'm not picking on Ryan because I've heard it before, I've thought it before, but when you're suggesting, as an evaluator, additional avenues of content, you always have to keep in mind that there's always more content. I wrote this out so I can make sure I get it. There's always more content that can be added. There's always more content. But there are time constraints, as those of you that speak know. So if you're suggesting content, my suggestion is that you're sure that it really needs to be added because of a gap that the speaker themselves created somehow in their own content. Okay, so if it's obviously was missing because the speaker set it up and then just didn't fill that, then that's a great place to introduce content, but not just content. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Samantha, always one of my favorite evaluators, colorful to boot. She gave positive comments, enthusiastic gestures, suggesting greet the audience. So she's got that whole part down, the good and the suggestions. Didn't quite hear a suggestion for Wahid. I don't remember, and I don't remember if she said a suggestion for John, but I was too busy writing. But I'm sure she'll tell you if she didn't. Suggestion for Samantha, and she knows I'm going to say this. She is doing better, but I want her to bring the up talk down. Still, up talk is where you're in every sentence going up, like that. So if she wants to be sure that the person understands, which is a lot of times why someone does up talk, they're saying, here's what I'm thinking, and you're sort of saying, do you understand me? You might just say, here's what I'm thinking. Does that make sense? And then you have a statement and a question, and not just that all of your statements going up. Last bit, and then we're done. I want to just make a comment because I've seen it in past meetings. When you are the three main roles, there's a general evaluator, there's a Toastmaster, and then there's the table topics master. When you're leading the show, you want to be the one who's leading the clapping. you are the clap leader, clap master as well. Sometimes I've seen where people just, they're not clapping, and so you get it, you get your audience clapping. Okay, I think I did that. And with that, I will turn it over to our Toastmaster, who's going to then turn it over to our president.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for our winners for tonight, the best speakers for tonight. I'm going to introduce you to their names and welcome them up on stage. You're going to get an award and a little banner here. So, I would like to start with Best Evaluator. Drum roll. The winner is Samantha. Next category, I'm going to go with Best Table Topics. And the winner is Hy-Vee! Last category, Best Speaker for tonight. Ladies and gentlemen. Sandy! Lewis Dembaum to conclude.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. How about first time being Toastmaster?
Before I go, who completed their Computer and Communicator project number 2? It's Raven?
Yeah,
Alright, so I forgot to give this to you earlier, so I'll let you come up.
Very important club business tonight, the election of our officers. Now we've got just a little bit of time left, but we're going to do this because it's important. So the nominating committee, which is also the board, has met a few times, and based upon input from you and input from ourselves, we have a slate that we are proposing. Here it is. President, Gene Simonton Craig. Vice President of Education, Rick Starr. Vice President of Membership, Emery, and I don't know Emery's last name right now. Styron. Emery Styron. Vice President of Public Relations, Will Burns. Treasurer, Dan Craig. Secretary, Sandy Magrin. We do not have a Sergeant of Arms yet, and that is it. So, do I have a motion that these names be placed on the ballot?
So moved.
Okay. The second. We'll take nominations also from the floor.
Yeah, so moved.
Okay. Are there further nominations from the floor? For any position? Okay. Then, does any one of the nominees have anything to say about, well, let me say it this way. If elected, will all of the nominees mentioned serve in their positions?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So, is there any discussion? All right. If there is no discussion, and because these people are all running unopposed, well, let's just do it. All in favor of these people serving as next year's officers, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right. Then, these people are duly elected as our officers for next year.
You said there were no
There's no nomination.
nominations. Well, no, I have two questions. Yeah, there were no competing nominations, right?
Yes.
And then the second thing, there's no sergeant in arms.
We don't have a a nomination for sergeant.
Right.
But we need a sergeant.
We need a sergeant at arms.
What is the sergeant?
The sergeant of arms, that's a good question. Sergeant of arms obviously is the person who opens the meeting and then sits down after the president comes up. That is the simplest part of the sergeant at arms' job. There are three other very, very important behind-the-scenes jobs for the sergeant of arms. The sergeant of arms comes early and sets up the room. The sergeant of arms stays late and tears down the room. And then, of course, if you're a good sergeant of arms, you get other people to help you with those. But you've got to be here to make sure that you are supervising the setup and the tear down of the room. In addition to that, all of the supplies are inventoried and ordered by the sergeant of arms. All of our badges, ribbons, manuals, ballots, evaluation forms, everything that keeps this meeting going from a paperwork and props, so to speak, is the responsibility of the sergeant at arms. So that is the main responsibility. Yes?
I just want to say a couple things,
Sure.
So everyone who's an officer will be instructed by the outgoing person who's holding that position. So we have a nice seamless transition. So if you don't know anything, that's just exactly the way it's supposed to be right now. You don't know what you're doing, but you'll be trained by your person who's outgoing. Secondly, we have, as an officer, you also are going to officer training twice a year. We will have one that will be somewhere August, and then also one that's usually in about December. So you get trained there and you meet other people from the clubs. That's another part of your responsibility. And the third thing is, we do have an officer meeting once a month, the first Tuesday here, right before the meeting, 6:30, 7:30. So you're already here, and then we work out other little things and like that. So those are obligations and also training opportunities.
The other thing is that these officers will serve as of July 1st. However, we are inviting the new officers to our June meeting so that they can have one meeting with the present board. It's another way of having some overlap. Rick?
Just one comment on the sergeant at arms position. As Lewis mentioned, it's the sergeant at arms' main responsibility to set up the meeting and tear down. But this club has a long tradition of a lot of people coming to help both before and staying later. So by no means will it be a one-person job. You'll always have help doing it.
Okay, any other questions on officers? All right, and what we will do is the last meeting of this fiscal year, June 30th, we will have a celebration, a commencement of the officers that served this year, and we will install the new officers, and we will party. Yay! Still to be determined where the location is. There's some thought of having it outside of this building where we can actually do some fun things, maybe build a fire and barbecue and some other things like that. So do I have a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting?
I move that we adjourn the meeting.
All in favor? Aye! Meeting is adjourned.